nonsense, and it was my fault. Okay, we are live.
Nice.
We're live with this good-looking young man, which I could say because I'm 63, so it's not like I'm flirting with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Eminem,
That's
my
great.
favorite candy, and my favorite rapper too, I might say. So
Love that.
Matt Morizio,
That's
I
right.
don't know anything about you. I know you're patient. I know you're kind. I know you have a lot of empathy. I
Thank
know
you.
that you do things right. I could tell that about you. So we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and we are also live on Facebook and Chatter Social. So
Incredible.
hopefully everyone will share the room so we can bring more people in for questions. So you're brave, you're bold. I think you're brilliant, and you're darn good looking. So you need to tell us who you are.
Cool. Well, I'm let's see, where do I start? My former life, I was a former professional baseball player. So that was my boyhood dream. So that's always a fun fact to lead with people. Although that's such a long way away, it still is a really fun fact to be able to share. So I played with the Royals for 5 seasons. And then life really accelerated quickly. I was recently married in my last season and had my first baby while we were trying to find a place to live. And here I am now, 7 children later, with an 8th on the way. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, been married 15 years, and launched my own wealth management firm a year and a half ago at 40 years old. So don't say it's ever too late to be an entrepreneur.
Wait, is that the Kansas City Royals?
Yep, you got it. In their minor league
Did you
system.
ever get to? We have a woman on the app, Lauren Lapointe, and I don't know if you ever got a chance to meet Lauren, but
No.
she's a granddaughter of Mr. Ewing,
Oh, get out. That's
Hoffman. Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. No, I never made it to the big leagues. I bounced around the minor leagues, lower levels a little bit, but
That's awesome. That's so exciting. I love that.
yeah.
I love that. Better, 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 better. Okay, so what did it teach you? Because when I think of when I think of baseball and teams, I think of players, and then I think of contracts, and then I think of contracts, I think of salary, and then I think of salary and like what they do, and then how easy it is to lose that salary,
Yep.
or how do you make wealth when you're having to work so hard to go up to the other thing? So tell us all about that.
Yeah, I will tell you that it taught me a ton, less even about money, more about life. I got to be honest with you. Like the way I respond to failure, I can attribute a ton to my baseball playing days, as one example. And it was one of those situations where, in the moment, in the 5 years I was playing professionally, I wasn't aware of what I was learning. It's more of like that rear view learning where I reflected after my career was over. I said, I need to have learned something that I can take with me into the rest of my life. And I kind of sat down and that's one of many lessons where, like, baseball is a game of failure. If you fail in the batter's box 7 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Fame hitter. So it is a game of failure. You have to learn how to fail, because that means you batted 300 and you're one of the best hitters of all time. But that means you failed 70% of your times at bat. And that's one example that I I expect failure as part of it's a necessary ingredient as part of success. So now I don't look at it as a negative. I just think of, like, good, this is part of the journey. It has to be. Baseball also taught me that you're never as good or as bad as you think you are, and the day is never as good or bad as you think it is. And I learned that in a couple different ways. We play 100 in the minor leagues, 140 games, in the big leagues, 162 games. There's always a game tomorrow, is what I mean by that. So it doesn't really matter what you did yesterday or what tomorrow is going to look like. You have to live in the moment, and then the moment's over, and then the next day comes. So whether you hit 4 home runs or you struck out 4 times the last night, it kind of doesn't matter, because tomorrow's a new game. It's never as good, never as bad as you think it is. And I have just seen in my life, especially in that playing career, so many people just get replaced. There's always somebody nipping at the heels. You think about the levels of the minor leagues, there's always somebody there. And I've seen guys get released at 4 a.m. after a road trip, only to have a replacement at 2 p.m. that same day in the lineup, in their spot, as if like nothing ever happened. The train keeps chugging. So I recognize, like, I'm never as good as I think I am. There's always somebody that's behind me, chasing me. And it's kind of this motivator for me. And it keeps me humble.
Okay, Matt, first of all, that is motivating for everyone. And I also think that's really important for those that are in their 20s and 30s and think that they are replaceable
Yeah.
and think that getting cocky, because I notice on Survivor, because don't we all get our tips from Survivor, but
Right.
on Survivor, those that are really cocky are like out of the game so fast. Like
Yes.
they're like 1 minute they're saying so. Are you writing articles about this? That right there, you got two pieces of content that are amazing, and I would love to read that. The lessons you've learned by playing baseball.
I should, I did write one a while back. I had a blog, and I might have to just resurface that whole thing because it was a cool reflective journey for me, but it ended up touching a lot of people that were in and out of the game because they're applicable life lessons, not baseball specific.
So what? So you're young. You make it to the minors. Could I call it the minors then?
Yeah, that's the minors. Yep.
You you make it to. I'm from Connecticut, so we had a couple of different minor teams. So you get familiar
Yeah.
with it because they are the local entertainment, and it's very exciting to watch them go
Yeah,
to the big
the
one. So
Yard
that,
Goats maybe is one of them. Is that right?
yeah, but even before the Argo,
Okay. Yep.
there was a Red Sox. I can't think of their name, but yeah, even before that, we had a really great home team. But are you offered as a young person, starting to now make money playing a game? Do they have someone that is helping you with wealth? I'm thinking, are you a wealth advisor?
I am a wealth advisor today, a financial advisor today. Yes. But at the time I wasn't. It was actually the farthest thing from me because in the minor leagues, the salaries are set. There's this players union that set the salaries for the entire minor leagues. And they're pretty low. They're better today, but when I was playing, I made $600 every 2 weeks after taxes for 5.5 months of the season of the year while the season was playing. So that anybody doing that math, that's sub 5 figures. That's less than $10,000 in a year. And I had to pick up off-season jobs just to try to live. So for me, wealth was not really a thing in my life. But I was surrounded by some people who had abundance of it because there were first, second, third round draft picks. So when you get drafted, if you're in high rounds, first, second, third rounds, you get paid a giant signing bonus. So that's where the big wealth comes in. You may get a $7 million signing bonus, but then go make the same $600 every 2 weeks as everybody else. So your wealth comes from your signing bonus. But me and the majority of people who get drafted outside of the first 3 rounds, you don't really have a signing bonus, so you don't have wealth to talk about. But then to make the big leagues, you make money again. So the big league minimum is $700,000 or something like that. So you're in this middle of life there where you're like surrounded on either ends of people making a bunch of it. And for the people who made a lot, like they leaned on their agents mostly. I didn't learn about wealth or money and the way the game of money works until well into my professional business career post baseball. Um, I learned about it then, and really my life has transformed for the better once I got into wealth management. But it was really understanding the rules of the game that has really changed things for me.
I will tell you, money is something that I grew up with. I really wasn't like understood it.
Yep.
I think I have like a math, something. It's really hard. It was the hardest thing for me. Math has always been hard, and also, the value of it, like all of that. It's interesting that I actually wasn't, and maybe I was taught it and I didn't understand it. So, how much of what you do you feel is financial literacy? Teaching people and getting them to understand money?
A ton of it. It's a great question. It's a ton of it, especially because as a society, we are encouraged not to speak about it. It's almost taboo to speak about it. Even in your own home, you don't bring it up. So what I've learned firsthand, and I've learned through thousands of conversations at this point with people, is that what happens in our lives is we basically inherit or adopt whatever money mindsets our parents had, but they weren't communicated. With 7 children, I've learned more is caught than taught with kids. So we kind of catch whatever our parents pass on to us, who's typically got from their parents, which if you do generationally, that's like a Great Depression era time frame of parents. So we often inherit these like worry, fearful, scarce mindsets around money and never really work to change that. Don't even know it really exists, quite honestly. because no one's ever called it out in us. So a lot of what I do with people is call attention to that. I was just having a conversation earlier today with a really dynamic woman who's like, she's a fantastic person. She lives in between these two mindsets of like high growth, aggressive, want to go all in, and super scared I'm going to lose everything and I can't, and I want to bury my money under a mattress. And she lives in this tension. One of my favorite questions, and I asked her, is like, where's that come from? Give me a money story from your childhood where you think that's reflective of your relationship with money. Because a lot of it comes from our childhood, and whether we want to do the work or not is on us. But we have to figure out, like, why do I behave the way I do around money? And I bet you'll learn, because I've learned through thousands of combos with people, that so much of the fear around money and the worry around money is actually not money itself. It's fear of the unknown. We just have never taken the time to learn how money works, the strategies around investing. They aren't over our heads. We're taught that they are, but they aren't. It's just we've never taken the time to apply ourselves and learn. Therefore, our fear is fear of the unknown. It's not actually fear of money.
I love that. Welcome, Jason. I'm glad you're here. We'll open for questions soon. Yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And I guess I could look back and see where my money issues come to. It's funny, this morning I actually woke up and I thought to myself, I'm worth more than I give myself. So I created, like, I just asked ChatGPT, like, like, help me like figure out the value. And it created something for me. But what is your niche market? You're younger. And obviously I'm thinking, my God, you could be really going to talk to all of those that are in sports, but then it's really hard for them because they're not making a lot of money. So
Right.
I'm not sure if that's your good market, but I am curious, who do you market to? Who have you found your niche to be?
What I've learned in money, because it's so personal and so sensitive, is that the person across the table, the proverbial table, like the person that I'm speaking with, they want to see a reflection of them in some way, shape, or form, because there's a comfort level there. And they don't necessarily look like me, but maybe they have big families. Maybe they are like driven what they feel like for a greater purpose. They've always had like this mindset tilt toward growth. Maybe they want to have a family one day, or they were a former athlete, or they're an entrepreneur that really has their head down and is building something big. That's the type of family and the person, I call them like purpose-driven families or high-capacity families. Those are the types of people that I tend to gravitate towards and tend to gravitate towards me. And quite honestly, they're the ones that I serve the most effectively, because it's my life. I have so many firsthand experiences of my own transformation that I can share and relate to that demographic the most.
I'm like, I have to like wake myself up. You're just so interesting. Did you give me the number 8? Did
8.
you say that you have 8 kids?
I have my 8th child on the way.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because it's 2025.
Yep.
First of all, do you know the stats on like the average household size? Is 8 now considered, because I think years ago it would have been kind of normal, right? Is 8 now considered like, whoa,
Oh
you
yeah.
need a super duper van?
I do have a Sprinter van. Yeah, it's us and Amazon and FedEx that have the Sprinter vans.
This is incredible. Did your wife, the hero, have a child a year?
It was about every other year, or a little less than that. Yeah. So we've been married 15 years. My oldest is 13, and we have our 8th child on the way. So there you go. So 8 kids
And
in what is 13 years. He'll be 14 actually. So it'll be 8 children in 14 years.
oh, you have the oldest son. I love that. So do your children say to you, I'm the only one in the class that has like 6 other brothers and sisters, with a 7th coming?
Yeah, we are. I always joke with people, I feel like I'm winning this race that I never meant to enter, but I'm winning it. The race
Oh my
of
gosh, I
children.
am loving this. Love to your wife. And what a
Yeah.
beautiful life to just, but this is where wealth matters, right? And
Yeah.
so let's share that, like when you have 8 children, because now what does that look like to you? What are your plans for your children? What I just want to get into your head and understand how, because that's a lot. 8 is a lot. Your expenses. are every constant every year. So share with us, share whatever you are able to open with
Yeah,
now the hat on as your wealth advisor, but also a father's hat.
sure. The first thing I think about is that I, if I was waiting to be fully financially prepared, emotionally prepared, everything to have a child, I probably wouldn't even have one yet because I think the mistake of so many parents is that they wait in their life to make sure they have all their ducks in a row to feel like it's going to work out, only to find out that a child rocks your world anyway, and you weren't prepared, you weren't playing. No matter how hard you tried, you're still going to screw up. So I think it's really important to think financially speaking. Like you do not need to know how you're going to afford the child in order to have the child. I would say listen to your heart and then feel like if it's your calling to have that many children, you should. I don't think you'll ever regret. There's not one that I regret having, put it that way. There's also no return policies on them, so you can't get rid of them even if you want to.
I can't.
Um, so I think about it that way first. Like, even though I'm a wealth manager and my job is to help people figure out how to live their calling financially speaking, I would say to people like, call it reckless, but I don't think it is. I just think that if you're trying to prepare financially before you have a child, it's okay to think about things, but you'll never be ready. So don't use that as a reason not to have kids. I also recognize that my life gets more and more expensive every single year as they grow more and they eat more food and they wear bigger adult size clothes and they do larger activities. Like all of these things start to cost money. So when you think about your spending, your budget, budget's a dirty word in my world because people think it's restrictive. I look at it like diet. Diet is also a very restrictive word that has a
Yeah.
bad connotation. See, the reality is like the food you eat, the whatever you consume, whatever you drink, that is your diet. Your diet is made up of something. Whether you're on a diet or particular about your diet is a different conversation. But what we earn and what we spend is our budget. Whether we're paying attention to our budget is a whole different conversation. But we all have a budget. We all earn something and spend something. And I recognize that when you're trying to manage that budget, especially with me with a bunch of kids, I know you asked like a lot of kids as a
Oh,
dad.
Amanda, 8 kids, Dr. Amanda, 8 kids, just so you know. Dr. Amanda just came in the room.
Oh, hi, welcome. When you think about how the heck do you pay for all that? Well, when you look at what the money that goes out and the money comes in, the only way to have more money at the end to afford things, you have two options really: spend less, earn more. And I'm here to tell you that most people I work with, they're responsible with their money. They don't really have a spend less option. There are some things, there's some fat to trim, but the reality is like very few can say, well, I guess I don't need that yacht. I guess I could sell that. It's not like that. Most people are like, well, I guess I could sell my house and move to the middle of the country, but then like that's a detriment to your entire family's lifestyle. So that's not a reality. There's only so many subscriptions and so many lattes you can trim from your budget to realize like I actually think the missing piece that most people in my role in my seat as financial advisors don't speak enough about is that you're probably needing to figure out how to earn more. Spending less is a healthy habit potentially, but I think the earn more conversation actually needs to be had a whole lot more.
Okay, this is so interesting. But I think, Dr. Amanda, if you're able to speak, are you with Harvard or you attended Harvard? Sometimes it's hard to unmic, so we'll wait a second. Okay, so if she's available, she'll come out. What if all 8 kids are all
I have,
drink?
you mean like what are the boys and girls? I have 4 boys, 3 girls, and the last one is a girl. So we'll have 4 and 4.
That's amazing. No, what if they all want to go to Harvard?
I'm gonna have them pay. The reality is like they have to have some skin in the game. That's the way it works. Like I say it like this: if you pay no money, you pay no attention. If you pay a lot of money, you pay a lot of attention. So if they really want to go, they've got to get some skin in the game.
Wow, yeah. Oh my gosh. You're really different than a lot of the other financial wealth advisors. I almost think you're a little earthier and you're more like down to earth, I guess. You're just sharing like real life
Yeah.
stories. So how are you saving? Like what does that look like with your saving that can help other people just by hearing what you're doing?
So I have some money that I set aside for my children, and I kind of have it in one giant pot. I have so many kids that I had like one pot of money as opposed to like separate accounts for each one. And
Yeah.
essentially, when they get to college, when they get of college age, then we're kind of divide that by 8 at this point, which is wild to say, but divide that by 8 and sort of say like this is each person's chunk roughly. I don't think there's a perfectly fair way to do that, but um, I'm not an advocate of college for college's sake. Believe it or not, I think there's so few professions, doctor, lawyer. There are certain professions that the barrier to entry is a college degree, and if you don't have it, you can't play the game. So I get it. Like if you're going to a profession where you need a degree, then college is a prerequisite. You got to do it. But for the other 95% of professions out there, I'm not convinced today that you can't learn more about your future more quickly about your future using things like AI or joining certain masterminds in related fields where you're going to learn real life skills, or just sacrificing pay for a year at 18 as an apprentice to somebody. Like let's say you want to learn how to sell uh, because that's a life skill. If you can sell solar panels, you can sell light bulbs, you can sell software, you can sell, if you learn the art of selling, you can you can do a whole lot of things. Let's say when you're 18, instead of going to college, you find some sales mentor online that's an influencer or whatever you want. You pay $5,000 for their program. And then you say to some software executive that that's a neighbor or something, I'm making all this up. You say, hey, I just would love to shadow your top salesperson. You don't have to pay me a dime. I just want to see what their life is like. And you do that for 6 months. Tell me you're not going to be more prepared for the world than 4 years of a college degree. So I think of things like that. And that's how I articulate it to the kids. I say, look, you got a pot of money. If you want to use it on a college degree, let's say, I don't know, it's $50,000, $20,000, whatever the number is. You want to spend the extra few $100,000 of debt to get a degree, that's on you. That's your choice. Or you want to use that money and apply it toward things like I talked about, and eventually maybe build a business. And great, that's your money. You're 18, you can do it how you want now.
Th- I- Wow, I love your focus. I think this is so cool, and I like that you're a little
Thanks.
younger. So let's go back to
Thanks.
um, okay, you're looking at my financials and you're like, I don't know, Adrian, you're going to need a little bit more. You're
Yep.
going to want to earn another $100,000 next year on top of what
Yep.
you're already earning. And then I say to you, well, I would say to you since yesterday, oh my gosh, I can do it because I have a way to do it. But
Awesome.
that because there's something that we were able to create, and actually turning these podcasts into books
Wonderful.
has been right. So I'll send you your chapter preview to review.
Come on.
But my point is that what can other people do? What if they don't have that option? What if they're hourly? Where else? What does that look like for the majority of people that are not on the top 3%, but more the regular folks?
Mm, I would say that creativity follows commitment in that, meaning often people wait for the magic potion and the magic bullet to hit them to then go and run toward it. But I've found when you start to think think about different options and things that you maybe could do, you commit to something. Let's just say you're committing to thinking of new ways to earn income. I'm going to do it for 10 minutes every day. I'm going to commit every morning. Even if I sit for 10 minutes with a blank head for 10 straight minutes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit to the idea of trying to figure out ways to earn more income. I promise after 10 days, you're going to have some ideas that you never had in your whole life. But it's only because that creativity followed your commitment to deciding I'm going to start thinking about this stuff. So I would tell people you probably can figure out ways to earn more income. You just haven't given yourself the freedom and the space to think about it. And you need to. If that's your situation, you need to. Sometimes people are super well qualified and well gifted. They might be on the wrong bus though, meaning like, hey, this bus that they're on, using their gifts in the career they're in, may only get them to $100,000, but they need to earn $200,000 based off of their life. And that bus they're on can never get them there. And they have to have that come to Jesus moment to say like, I need to move buses. I am on the wrong one. Even though I love where I'm at, if I'm trying to get where I'm trying to go, this bus stops. This bus doesn't take me there. So I would encourage people to go there. And I steal this line from Rory Vaden, who has a company called Brand Builders Group. He said it better than anybody I've ever heard. So I just use his words, not mine. He says, you are most uniquely qualified to serve the person you once were. So if you're struggling to figure out, like, what do I do? Then I say, think about the trials, the struggles, the things you've overcome. Your purpose often lies next to your greatest pain. So think about how you got through that stuff. What did you use and what did you do to get through that? And then how can you use your unique gifts to go and serve that person who's also going through a similar trial? I promise there's business in there.
Wow. There's something really extraordinary about you.
Oh, thank you.
I produce a lovely podcast. I absolutely love it. And, a lot of financial wealth advisors. I don't think anyone's come on with kind of a motivational way to teach. So how do people, like, why would someone want to work with you? What does that look like? What do they need to know about you and know what they need to do in order to, make that phone call and then start to work with you? Is it just a conversation? Like, what does that look like?
It is a conversation, but I would first say there's something like 330,000 registered financial advisors in the country. So there's the right person out there for everybody. The person that I probably can best help is somebody who has this mindset of growth, who feels like there's a bigger calling on their life, that is struggling to make sure that they're using their gifts wisely and they're stewarding their wealth well, meaning they're probably already pretty successful from the world's eyes, but it's like they need a Sherpa along their climb of Mount Everest. They're like, they know they can do it, but with a guide, they feel a whole lot more confident about the journey and maybe can get there more quickly, more safely. It's those people that I'm going to help best. Those people that their whole life have gone against the grain because they know that to live an extraordinary life, by definition, they're going to need to do something extra. They're going to have to look different. By definition, fitting in means your life looks like everybody else's. And the most people I work with that I can serve the best are on purpose doing things differently because they feel called to live a different life than everybody else. They feel called to a place that most people aren't going to. So those are the people I can work with. And if you want tried and true, straightforward financial advice that's relatively textbook, like, I'm not going to be the right person for you because I invest in a way in individual stocks that looks very different than most people. The advice I give, you've probably heard some of it, that it's not typical advice, because often when you're on a journey that's atypical, it's illogical to think I need advice that is like everybody else's, even though I feel like I'm on a journey that no one else is on. You're going to need to hear things that no one else is willing to tell you or knows to tell you because they're not on that path. So it's really a unique person that I probably can best serve. It's not that I can't help other people. That's just the person that I can really come alongside and help out.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see you being a trusted advisor. I think everyone needs to have around the table. Now,
Yeah.
the reconstructing wealth is interesting because I'm thinking, wait, I had it and now I have to reconstruct it, or am I getting my meanings wrong? Because I'm almost
Yeah.
thinking, wouldn't it be constructing wealth?
Yeah,
Or why am I reconstructing?
it's a common mistake, or a common thought. I don't want to call it a mistake because you're right in thinking that. Where the mission and the heart of the business, right in the word, is my mission is to, over the long term, reconstruct people's relationships with money, because I found that how people view and use money is the limiter in their life. It's the ceiling, the glass ceiling they can't break through. It's not the marketing tactics and strategies. Identity precedes destiny. So like people, if they can't live into that future wealthier version of themselves emotionally, they'll never get there. It's the reason all lottery winners, 80% of lottery winners lose their money in 5 years. That statistic exists because the lottery winner is often a paycheck to paycheck mindset person who all of a sudden has a windfall of wealth. Yet they are mentally, emotionally, they still embody what a paycheck to paycheck person embodies. And they never take the time to learn how to up level their internal state, to understand, like to reconstruct their relationship with money, to become that multimillionaire that they now are. Therefore, their body sort of works to retreat back to what's known and comfortable.
It's crazy. It is crazy, but you kind of explained it. I think, well, most of us think like, oh, it's the curse of winning the lottery. Oh, it's poor decisions. It's they just spent all the money, or they
No,
donate it all away. No,
no,
wow.
money has no emotion. Money doesn't care where it is. Like we assign emotions to money all the time, but really, like, what does money care if it's in your bank account or somewhere else's, right? Like, it's on us to steward it well, to figure out how to use it effectively. And if we don't, then what ends up happening is it sort of just moves through us and finds its way to somebody else. That's just how it goes.
I definitely, if you yourself, I know you guest on podcasts, but if you have a lot of great information. There's something about you. Anyone here that, hi Haley, anyone
Thanks.
would like to say anything? Well, we have Matt in the room. Oh, feel free to unmic if you would like. Haley, if you want to come up, please come up. We only have a few more minutes though. Matt, any question that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that you do want me to share with my, 3 followers?
Wow. Thank you for that. You've asked a lot of fun questions, and you've also been super complimentary. So just thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for like pouring encouragement into me. That's been really, this for me has been like cup filling. That's been awesome. So I really appreciate that. I think the one question a lot of people that I think people are listening, if they listen, are asking themselves is like, well, how do I even get going with my money? Maybe not even from a starting point. Maybe you have a 401k or whatever it is and a whole lot of money somewhere, but like, how do I really take the reins of my financial life? That's a fair question. And to me, I would actually start with saying it begins with some awareness. You have to actually start to think about like, how do I respond internally? How do I emotionally feel when I open up my bank account, when I look at my investment accounts, when I swipe my credit card? All the things where like money's in motion. How do you think about that? Do you get emotional? Do you get stirred up? Like start there, because here's the truth. If you're trying to build a beautiful garden and there's just a ton of weeds in your garden, even if the fruit starts to produce, you still have weeds growing right next to the fruit in the same soil. You've got to pull the weeds. You can't just trim them with the hedge clippers or the weed whacker. You know what I mean? The roots are still there. So you have to actually, like that lottery winner, you have to go deep into figuring out like, what is it about me that causes that? Why do I think that way? What happened in my life? And then you have to start to reassign new meanings toward money. You actually have to reassign what that wealth is used for in your life and who you're called to serve, because it's never about you. That's the trick about money. We all get worried and emotional about money because we make it about us, just like anything else. Like if you're going to post on social media, the reason you get nervous and anxious about it is because you're worried about what people will say about you. Like it becomes selfish, as opposed to thinking like, with these words, who can I serve? Who's this going to help? Same with money. With these dollars, who can I help? Who can I serve? When it becomes about we and not me, you're going to be in a healthy place. So I would actually start there. And then if you really don't know where else to go, quite literally, you could ask ChatGPT. You could say, hey, here's my situation. I have this much in retirement. I have this much. I need to earn this much. Whatever you want to give it, say, where do I begin? Or what are the right questions for me to ask? Or do I want to hire an advisor? If I do, what do I have to ask them? Honestly, start there. It's going to pull from infinite more data sources than you or I have in our head. And it's going to distill these questions that will get you on the path you need to get on.
Amazing advice. Wait, one more question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
have you run into this a lot? Um, let's just say a family member who was told by their parents, "Oh, you're in the will. You're going to have money in the estate. We're taking care of you." Maybe the parent will say whoever that sibling is, older brother, older sister, would take care of you, and you kind of have that mindset. But then as like when things actually happen in life, and maybe the parents have passed away, and you have the estate, but then it doesn't turn out like that. Have you seen any cases where you kind of almost someone in the family has gone through thinking, "Oh, I've got this generational wealth, I will be okay, I don't need life insurance, the family will take it," and then it's all pulled due to like maybe a family member? Have you like
Yeah.
seen or heard that happen?
Yeah. It gets ugly, especially at death and money. Nothing makes people act stranger than finances, I've learned. You know, for investing in emotions, they don't play well in the sandbox. And the same is true with just transfer of money and emotions. That just gets really messy. Unfortunately, I've seen families break up. Certain family members not talk to other family members as a result of changes of the will prior to death, when the argument is the parents relatively incapacitated and wasn't in a headspace to be able to approve that change. It's nasty. And here's what I would say to that person is, it's not that transaction or that the result of a dishonest family member or whatever that situation is, where you no longer have money that you are banking on. I would say back up into your mindset today and say, why are you living in a way where you're waiting for somebody to die in order for you to live? I think that's the real problem.
Good advice. Oh, Matt, you're going to go so far. I really hope that you carve out a
Thanks.
motivational time to not just, work with clients, but actually to take large groups. I see you on the stage. I see
Oh,
you doing a lot of different things.
come on,
Yeah.
Adrian. Thank you for that. You
Let's call
speak.
Tony Robbins. I see
Follow.
Tony Robbins. I mean, no, you're good, Matt. You're good. Jason's got his hand up. Meet Jason. He's cool.
Hey, Jason.
Jason, take the mic.
Hey,
Hey.
nice to meet you, Matt. Thanks a lot. It's great listening.
Thanks.
And thank you, Adrian. Baseball is super fun. And I liked your analogy about, you're right. They strike out like 7 times,
Yeah.
before you're a Hall of Famer,
And you're a Hall of Famer.
but it's just a good reminder of those things. And it's congratulations on your success. Obviously, you're a good leader and motivator. So I
Thanks, man.
appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
What
that.
state are you in? I know. Very nice. Jason's awesome. What state are you in?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina now. I'm
Oh, you
originally
said
from
that. You said that.
I'm originally from Boston. So when you were talking to the doctor about Harvard, I lived right outside of Cambridge before, and yeah, spent many days there.
We are
Hey,
so
Matt,
lucky. Oh, go
Yes.
ahead, Jason.
what's your perspective on Bitcoin? Are you a big believer in that? And I wanted to ask you, is it similar to like gold these days, because it's kind of almost like a limited type of thing now, because it's like evaporating, because however many they're made or something? How does that work?
Yeah, it is similar to that in that there's a finite amount of it, so the value is in the scarcity of it, for sure. I don't disagree that blockchain technology is going to be part of the banking system of the future. It already is. So I think that blockchain technology, what it does is it allows you to be your own bank. You have your own little secure square cube you live in, and you can wire money directly to another person who has their own secure square, and it's all traceable and protectable, where you almost eliminate a need for a bank in that transaction. There's no middleman there. So it's a really disruptive technology to financial services in particular, because now all of a sudden you don't need these super rich institutions called banks that have deep pockets and a lot of lobbyists on Capitol Hill to make sure that they will exist, right? So I actually think that blockchain technology is going to be hard to really fully disrupt because of that. There are going to be a lot of headwinds for it. That being said, I don't discourage clients when they really want to get into Bitcoin or any other crypto. I personally don't invest when I'm investing on behalf of clients. I don't invest in it. And the reason is it's not about me liking it or not liking it. When I said earlier, emotions in investing don't play well in the sandbox. When a client entrusts me with their entire life savings to say, hey, look, I need you to make sure that you're managing this well so that I can one day use it to live, I need to have an abundance of data to make my decisions and a disciplined process to make my decisions. And there is not enough rationale or data behind the scenes for me on Bitcoin in order for me to make a good buying or selling decision. Right now, Bitcoin trades a lot like a fine art would, like a Monet or something. Its value is often in the perceived value that the other person's willing to pay for it. Like a Monet might be worth $12 for me because I don't want one, but it's 12 million for another person who loves fine art. Bitcoin is kind of similar. Now, there is more substance to it, but its value right now, at least, has been inflated because so many people think it's worth a lot. So more people are buying it. And that's the reason it has nothing to do with whether or not I think it's a good investment. For me not to invest in it, it's because I have a really disciplined, data-driven process of what I'm buying, when I'm selling, what I'm going to reinvest in. And if I don't have the appropriate amount of data behind it, I just can't, in good faith, I can't make those decisions on behalf of somebody's life savings.
That's Jason, killer question. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you so much.
So for clients like that, I encourage them to take a small percentage of your investments and open up your own Coinbase account or something and buy whatever XRP or Ethereum or Bitcoin, whatever you want to buy. But just know that there is a chance on an investment like that it can go to zero. Most investments, like in the market that I'm investing in, I'm particularly investing in stocks. It's hard to imagine a $100 billion company going to zero tomorrow. Like there's going to be some predictability to that, to say like, hey, this company's in a pretty deep tailspin, and I can usually get out of that well before they go to zero. Bitcoin, I don't know. There may or may not be that.
Wow.
And Matt, the other coins, are they based on nothing then? Like, what are they based on? Is it just
Exactly.
like what you were talking about earlier, like theory and kind of fun?
Yeah, they are what somebody else thinks they're worth. It's a hard one for me.
And that's where it gets dangerous, because they can just be like, the owners of it can just pull, right?
Sure. Yeah. People can decide that Dogecoin no longer is a thing, or Trump coin is not going to be worth it. Like these are, and then when the masses decide that it's actually not a valuable thing anymore, the price of it tanks, and there's no predictability to that, because humans are irrational. So like when you're trying to predict an irrational person times a zillion, however many people are investing in it, it's an impossibility. But the future is impossible to predict as is. Never mind trying to predict a human behavior.
Great questions. Hi, Nuala. Welcome, Nuala. I want to be careful of Matt's time because of what we're doing. So thank you so much. And I will say, I'm going to say it, Jason. I'm doing it. Matt, one of the, like we talk about Chatter Social, we're live on Chatter Social because you're hearing voices. And I've been doing Podmatch guests, and
Cool.
they're always like, wait, I've never had this happen. Have you ever had have you ever been on an interview where there's been live people?
Never.
So
Cool.
I'm going to do it, Jason. On Chatter Social, we have two people that come in that teach, and we are so lucky. One, you may know the names, beautiful woman, Cindy Stumpo out of Boston.
Okay.
And the other one, you may know the name, Grant Cardone.
Yes.
And we're very lucky. So we are all here, and this is kind of what it looks like. And Nuala is going to say a quick hello.
That's cool.
Hi, gorgeous. Another fabulous podcast. Lovely to see you, Matt.
Hi, nice to see you too.
Nuala's from, I just messed that up. Oh, sorry. Nuala, can you guys hear me? Sorry about that.
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I did that stupid camera. So I will send you, Chatter Social is free.
Cool.
It is the founder is a young man that we are all supporting him. So it's really interesting. Nelson Apega. As a matter of fact, I have a Podmatch book coming, and all 15 of the interviews are done on Chatter. And then my next book is coming. So that one happens to be
Wow.
with Alex.
So cool.
Alex, I don't know if you're using, do we meet on Podmatch?
Yes. Yep.
I love Podmatch. So Alex was a great interview. But anyways, so love to have you on. I think that this is a
Cool.
conversation we need more on.
Yes.
It's nice to support. There is no cost to it, but if you do like to do rooms or have conversations about it, we would love to have you on there. So you could just come and try it. I do
Cool.
Debate the News, True Crime Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m.
That's
Because
cool.
sometimes not only do I look like death warmed over, I actually talk about death warmed over. Okay. So thank you so much. So thank you so much. So now I have to close out and I won't be able to talk because I'm going to shut the room down. But thank you. I'm going to send you, Matt, I'm going to send you a copy of like what the chapter would look like, a preview of the
Cool.
chapter, because you were really giving some great information.
Thanks.
And I'm just going to end this. I'm trying so hard. I really do want to change. I am listening to some like motivation and some tapes at night. I would love if you had created like a motivational tape, blogs, articles. You have so much in that amazing head of yours,
Thank you.
and teaching people like me. I'm the picture of the person that needs to hear from you and then needs to make some good decisions. So
That's so
thank you.
cool. Well, I will say that if I've recorded a 3-part video course of just some of what we talked about, like the emotions, the science behind it, also some nuts and bolts of actual practical like financial management. And it's free. And if anybody finds me on Instagram, I'm probably most active there. It's just my name.
So it's not on your website?
It's not on my website right now. So it's
okay.
If you go to my Instagram though, and you want to send me a DM, you follow me, I'll send you a link to it. I'm working on transitioning it to my website. It's hosted on a different site right now, but send me, anybody listening wants to send me a DM, I'll send it to you for free. And maybe that's a cool starting point.
Oh my gosh, I love that, Matt. Thank you so much. Okay, that is the thing. So you're going to get us you're going to get it from me so I can send it out, and then this will turn into show notes and be more. This is just a live. Thank you for
Awesome.
being brave enough to do a live. I'll end it now. Thank you guys for watching it. Thank you for everyone in the chatter room. You're special to me. Thank you. Have a great day. I'll be back in touch with you.
Okay. Thanks.
You're awesome.
I appreciate you big time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.